Have you ever stopped to think about the colors you wear every day? Do you realize that something as simple as a color could carry spiritual consequences? Many people walk through life oblivious to the unseen forces around them, but the Bible tells us in the Spirit-led life that God equips us to live with discernment and awareness. Today, I want to speak to you about a color that witches use to mark people spiritually. A color that can open doors to attacks you never invited. It may sound strange to some, but spiritual warfare is real. Just as the enemy seeks to deceive and destroy, he also uses subtle methods to weaken us. One of these is color. There is a particular color, often worn without thought, that attracts negative spiritual attention. This color acts like a signal, an invisible mark that the enemy can use to influence your life. If you value your peace, your relationships, your destiny, you must understand this, but do not fear. Awareness is the first step to victory. When you recognize that certain patterns, colors, symbols, or objects can be used against you, you are no longer a passive target. The faithful, armed with prayer and the authority given to us by God, can repel any spiritual scheme. In the power of faith, I explain that faith is not just belief, it is action. When you refuse to wear what invites attack, you are exercising faith in a practical way. This is not about superstition, it is about discernment. The enemy works in hidden ways, often using what seems ordinary. A color, a symbol, a gesture. Small things can open doors to spiritual manipulation. When you understand this, you gain the power to protect yourself. You choose your garments, your thoughts, your environment carefully, knowing that every choice matters spiritually. Many of us pray and fast, yet still feel stuck, frustrated, or attacked. Perhaps the missing piece is discernment in everyday life. The enemy does not always come through obvious threats. Sometimes he comes through subtle markers, things we unknowingly allow into our lives. By removing the color that witches use to mark you, you are taking a step toward freedom, toward clarity, toward walking in God's protection. Remember, you are not powerless. God has given you authority over every evil work. You can break free from every mark, every curse, every scheme. Pray for wisdom. Examine your choices. Ask God to reveal hidden dangers. When you refuse to wear the color of spiritual attack, you are declaring that your life belongs to Him and not to the forces of darkness. You must stand firm, knowing that awareness, prayer, and obedience are your spiritual weapons. The enemy may seek to manipulate and mark, but God's power is greater. Every time you choose to walk with discernment, every time you reject the unseen trap, you are walking in victory. You are saying, "No, I will not be marked. I will not be controlled. I will walk in freedom." This is the moment to act. Protect your spirit, protect your destiny, and protect your life from the subtle attacks that so often go unnoticed. Do not allow ignorance to give the enemy access. Choose your colors, your thoughts, your environments with wisdom. Live intentionally, walk boldly, and remember, God's protection surrounds you when you live in awareness and faith. Have you ever stopped to think about the colors you wear every day? Have you considered that something as simple as the color of your clothes could carry spiritual consequences? Many people go through life completely unaware of the unseen forces that move around them, but God has given us the wisdom to live with discernment. In the Spirit-led life, we learn that awareness is a key part of faith. Today, I want to speak to you about a color that witches use to mark people spiritually. A color that can open doors to attacks and struggles you never invited into your life. Spiritual warfare is real, whether we see it or not. The enemy does not always come with obvious signs of danger. Sometimes he works through subtle things, through patterns, objects, and yes, even colors. There is one particular color that has been used for centuries to signal a person for spiritual manipulation. Witches and practitioners of dark arts know that symbols and colors can carry power. And when you wear that color unknowingly, you may attract attention from forces that do not wish you well. It is like leaving a window open in a storm. You are inviting trouble without realizing it. But this is not a message of fear. This is a message of awareness, of practical faith. When you recognize the tactics of the enemy, you are no longer a passive target. In The Power of Faith, I explain that faith is not simply belief, it is action. Action in faith begins with discernment. Choosing what you wear, how you live, and where you allow your spirit to dwell are acts of faith. By refusing to wear the color that marks you, you are taking an active step in protecting your life, your destiny, and your spiritual well-being. Many people pray and fast, yet they still feel stuck, attacked, or drained. Sometimes, the missing piece is discernment in everyday life. The enemy does not always come in dramatic ways. Often he works subtly, through things we allow into our lives without thought. A color, a symbol, even a pattern, can serve as a spiritual marker. By becoming aware of these things and making intentional choices, you are exercising authority over every spiritual attack. You are declaring that you belong to God and not to darkness. Remember, you are not powerless. God has given you authority over every evil work. You can break free from every mark, every curse, every manipulation. Pray for wisdom and revelation. Ask God to reveal hidden dangers in your environment. Examine your choices carefully. Every time you reject the color that attracts spiritual attention, you are making a bold declaration of faith. A declaration that your life, your mind, and your destiny are under God's protection. Living in awareness and discernment is the key to walking in spiritual victory. The enemy may try to manipulate and mark, but God's power is far greater. When you act with intention and faith, when you remove doors that give the enemy access, you are stepping into freedom. You are stepping into a life where your destiny cannot be hindered, where your peace cannot be stolen, and where your spirit is guarded by the Almighty. Every choice you make, even the colors you wear, can be an act of faith that positions you for blessing rather than attack. Have you ever paused to reflect on the seemingly small choices in your life? Choices as simple as the colors you wear, and wondered if they carry a deeper spiritual weight. Most people overlook this, but every color, every pattern, every symbol can carry meaning in the unseen world. There is a particular color that witches and dark practitioners have long used to mark individuals spiritually. A color that can make you a target for manipulation, confusion, or delay in your life. This is not superstition. This is spiritual reality. The enemy often works in subtle ways, using what seems ordinary to open doors to attacks you cannot see with the human eye. Spiritual awareness is essential if you are to live in freedom and victory. Just as in the Spirit-led life, understanding the unseen realm is a vital part of faith. When you know that a certain color can be used to signal spiritual attack, you are empowered to take action. You are no longer passive in your own life. Every garment you wear, every environment you enter, every choice you make has spiritual consequences. By choosing to avoid that color, you are exercising spiritual authority, protecting your destiny, and declaring that your life belongs to God, not to darkness. Many people pray and fast faithfully, yet they still face persistent struggles. Why? Sometimes it is not lack of faith, it is lack of discernment. The enemy does not always confront you directly. He often works through subtle markers, things you may consider harmless. A color, a symbol, or a pattern can be a hidden door that opens to spiritual oppression. By becoming aware and making intentional choices, you close that door, you act in faith, knowing that God has given you authority over every evil work and every mark the enemy tries to place on your life. Do not be passive. Take your spiritual protection seriously. Pray for wisdom. Ask God to reveal hidden dangers that may surround you. Examine the simple things you may have overlooked, like the colors in your wardrobe. When you reject the color that carries spiritual attack, you are taking a powerful step in obedience and faith. You are asserting your spiritual authority, your right to peace, and your freedom in Christ. Living intentionally is the key to walking in spiritual victory. Awareness, prayer, and discernment are your weapons. The enemy may attempt to manipulate and mark you, but God's power is greater than any scheme. Every time you make conscious choices in alignment with spiritual wisdom, you are positioning yourself for protection, blessing, and freedom. Every simple act of faith, even something as small as the color you wear, can create a shield around your life that preserves your destiny and keeps you walking in God's favor. Have you ever considered that the colors you wear every day could carry spiritual significance beyond what the eye can see? Many walk through life unaware that seemingly ordinary choices can open doors to unseen attacks. There is one color, in particular, that witches and practitioners of dark arts use to mark individuals spiritually. A color that can attract manipulation, confusion, or delay without your knowledge. This is not superstition, it is spiritual reality. The enemy often works in subtle, hidden ways, using things that appear ordinary to influence your life and hinder your destiny. Spiritual discernment is vital if you want to live in peace, victory, and freedom in the Spirit-led life. We learn that understanding the unseen world is part of walking in faith. When you know that certain colors can act as spiritual markers, you gain the power to protect yourself. Awareness gives you authority. By refusing to wear this color, you close a door the enemy would use to access your life. Every choice, from the colors you wear to the environments you enter, matters spiritually. Every intentional act of faith creates a shield around your destiny. Many believers pray and fast diligently, yet still feel burdened, blocked, or attacked. Why? Often it is not a lack of faith, but a lack of discernment in everyday living. The enemy does not always attack openly. He works subtly through hidden markers that seem harmless. A color, a symbol, or a pattern can become a doorway to spiritual oppression. By becoming aware and making intentional choices, you are exercising the authority God has given you. You are declaring, "My life belongs to God. I will not be marked. I will not be controlled by darkness." Do not be passive in your spiritual walk. Take deliberate steps to protect your life, mind, and destiny. Pray for revelation. Ask God to expose hidden dangers in your environment. Examine the small details that may carry unseen influence, including the colors you wear. When you reject the color that witches use to mark, you are not acting out of fear, but out of faith. You are taking a practical step toward freedom, peace, and spiritual protection. Living intentionally is essential to walking in God's victory. Awareness, prayer, and obedience are powerful weapons against unseen attacks. The enemy may try to manipulate or mark you, but God's power is far greater than any scheme of darkness. Every time you make choices guided by spiritual wisdom, even something as simple as the colors you choose, you position yourself for blessing, protection, and freedom. Faith expressed through discernment creates a life shielded from spiritual interference, allowing you to walk boldly into the destiny God has prepared for you. Have you ever stopped to think about the simple choices you make every day, like the colors you wear, and how they might affect your spiritual life? Many people walk through life completely unaware that something as ordinary as a color can carry spiritual consequences. There is one color in particular that witches and dark practitioners have long used to mark people spiritually. A color that can attract attacks, manipulation, or delay in ways you cannot see. This is not superstition, it is the reality of spiritual warfare. The enemy often works in subtle ways, using ordinary things to open doors to spiritual trouble. Understanding spiritual realities is essential if you want to live a life of freedom, peace, and victory. In the Spirit-led life, we learn that discernment is a vital part of faith. When you know that certain colors can act as spiritual markers, you are empowered to take action. Awareness is your first weapon. By refusing to wear the color that marks you, you close doors the enemy would otherwise use to influence your life. Every choice matters, from the clothes you wear to the environments you enter. Each intentional act becomes a shield for your life and destiny. Many believers faithfully pray and fast, yet still feel frustrated, stuck, or attacked. Why does this happen? Often it is not a lack of faith, but a lack of discernment in everyday life. The enemy rarely comes through obvious attacks, he works subtly, through hidden markers that seem harmless. A color, a symbol, or a pattern can become a doorway to oppression if left unchecked. By becoming aware and making intentional choices, you exercise the authority God has given you. You declare, "My life belongs to God, not to darkness. I will not be marked. I will walk in freedom." Do not remain passive. Take steps every day to protect your spirit, your destiny, and your life. Pray for wisdom. Ask God to reveal hidden dangers in your surroundings. Examine the seemingly small details, including the colors you wear, because they can carry spiritual weight. By rejecting the color that witches use to mark, you are acting in faith, not fear. You are taking a tangible step towards spiritual protection, peace, and freedom. Intentional living is key to walking in victory. Awareness, prayer, and obedience are powerful spiritual weapons. While the enemy may attempt to manipulate or mark you, God's power far exceeds any scheme of darkness. Every time you make choices guided by spiritual wisdom, even something as simple as a color, you position yourself for protection, blessing, and freedom. Each conscious act of faith strengthens your spiritual armor, ensuring that you walk boldly in the life and destiny God has prepared for you. Have you ever wondered why some battles in your life seem to keep repeating, no matter how much you pray, fast, or work hard? Could it be that there are small, hidden things in your daily life giving the enemy a foothold? One of those hidden things is as simple as a color you choose to wear. There is a particular color that witches and practitioners of dark powers use to mark people spiritually, and when you wear it unknowingly, you may be signaling yourself to forces that wish to harm or delay you. This is not folklore, nor is it mere superstition. It is a spiritual reality that many overlook. The enemy rarely comes in obvious ways, he works subtly, weaving darkness into what appears ordinary, hoping you will never notice. In the Spirit-led life, we are reminded that spiritual awareness is not optional, but essential for those who desire victory. God has given us the wisdom and authority to recognize the schemes of the enemy and guard our lives from spiritual attacks. Awareness is the first step. If you know the enemy's tactics, you are no longer a silent target. When you refuse to wear what marks you, you are choosing faith over ignorance, protection over vulnerability. This is a declaration that your life is not for manipulation, but for purpose. That your spirit is not open to attack, but covered under God's authority. The truth is, many believers wonder why, despite their prayers, they still face unusual setbacks, relationship struggles, or moments of confusion that make no sense. The problem may not be their faith, it may be a lack of discernment in everyday choices. A color, a pattern, or a symbol may seem harmless but can act as a spiritual door. The enemy thrives in what you ignore. By paying attention, by asking God for wisdom, by choosing to reject that color, you are taking authority back into your hands. You are declaring that your life cannot be marked by darkness, but only by God's light. This is not about fear. It is about faith in action. Every time you choose with discernment, every time you align your life with spiritual wisdom, you strengthen your defenses. Prayer is powerful, but prayer combined with action is unstoppable. By removing what attracts spiritual attack, you are aligning your life with God's protection and positioning yourself for freedom. You are sending a message to the unseen world. I know who I am, I know whose I am, and I refuse to be marked by anything other than God's purpose. Remember, intentional living is one of the greatest spiritual weapons you have. Awareness, prayer, and obedience form a shield around your life. The enemy may attempt to use small, hidden things to gain influence, but God's power is greater, and your authority in Him is stronger. Every decision matters, even the color of your clothes. Each choice you make with wisdom becomes a step into victory, into freedom, into the destiny God has designed for you. Have you ever asked yourself why certain struggles seem to cling to your life, even when you pray, even when you fast, even when you try to do everything right? Sometimes the answer is not found in the big things, but in the small things you overlook. One of those small things is the color you choose to wear. There is a color that witches and those who practice darkness use to mark people spiritually. When you wear it unknowingly, you may be signaling yourself in the unseen realm, opening doors you never intended to open. This is not a superstition, it is spiritual truth. The enemy works subtly. He hides in ordinary things, in daily choices, in details so small that most people ignore them. The Bible reminds us in the fourth dimension that the spiritual world is as real as the physical. Discernment is the gift that helps us see what others miss. When you know that certain colors can mark you, you are already a step ahead in protecting your destiny. Refusing to wear what marks you is not weakness, it is strength. It is saying, I am aware, I will not be caught off guard. My life is under God's authority, and nothing else. Awareness is victory in itself, because the enemy thrives on ignorance. The less you know, the easier it is for him to manipulate. But once you see, once you understand, once you act, his grip is broken. Many of you wonder why, despite your prayers, you face strange delays, sudden losses, or inner heaviness that cannot be explained. The answer may lie in the unnoticed details. The enemy's schemes are rarely dramatic, they are hidden, quiet, and patient. He uses symbols, objects, and yes, even colors to place invisible marks. But here is the good news, you are not powerless. God has given you authority. When you pray for wisdom and live with discernment, every hidden trap loses its power. You break the unseen chains, not just through words, but through choices that align your life with light. This is not about fear. It is about freedom. It is about living with intentionality, refusing to be casual about your spiritual life. Prayer without awareness leaves blind spots, but prayer with discernment builds a wall of protection around you. Every time you refuse to wear that color, you are not just changing clothes, you are declaring victory. You are testifying, I am marked by God, not by darkness. I am chosen, not cursed. I am covered, not exposed. Living intentionally is a weapon. Awareness is a shield. Obedience is armor. The enemy may attempt to mark you, but he cannot override the authority God has given you. Each small decision, even the color you choose to wear, can either open a door to attack or build a barrier of protection. Walk in wisdom. Walk in discernment. Walk in victory. For your destiny is too valuable, your calling too great, and your spirit too precious to be marked by anything other than the hand of God. Remember, the unseen world is real, And the choices we make, even something as simple as the colors we wear, can carry spiritual significance. Awareness, discernment, and intentional living are not optional. They are essential tools for walking in victory. You have the authority in God to reject every mark, every scheme, and every attempt of darkness to influence your life. Choose faith over fear, wisdom over ignorance, and protection over passivity. Guard your spirit, protect your destiny, and walk boldly, knowing that God's power surrounds you, and nothing can touch what He has marked as His own.